Listen, we're at the end of the semester, so I just want to answer questions that you have that we never got to, that you have for me, whatever the case is, wherever we're at. So G-Dog has a mic. Someone else can take a mic. Alessandra, maybe you, or Leah's here. Can you take another mic around? Who's got a question you want to ask? Yo, bro, G-Dog, up there. Can someone else get another microphone and take it out? Yeah.
So, quick question. So, I'm from Bangladesh. I moved here when I was in 5th grade. And one question that I asked in one of my reflections was, have you ever visited Bangladesh? And when I was doing the reading for this exam, for the first time ever, I saw something that was related to Bangladesh. And I was just wondering if you got a chance to go there or know anything that's happening there.
Yeah, I have wanted to go. I had a friend and a guy that did a lot of work for me who lived in Dhaka, and I've always wanted to go, and I just have never had the opportunity. I've been to India numerous times, but I haven't. I have had the idea that on one of my trips to Korea, I was going to pop down to Bangladesh. So, yeah, so the answer is no, but I really would like to go. I'm quite aware of things, yeah. Somebody else? Yeah. Uh-huh.
Yeah, I got more of an unserious question. Where do you get this evil laugh? Where did it stem from?
The what?
You got a little evil laugh on you.
Dude. Man. God. I've been telling. I just said this to my wife last night, actually, strangely. I find myself laughing more because, when I was talking with Zoe up here yesterday, on Tuesday, and I was saying, God, the things that I know about the world and how those things sit in me and the experiences I've had and the people I've met and yeah, just the memories. I have just so much inside of me, right? Things that are really deeply painful and, but for some reason, over the years, I've realized that I just have to laugh. And what's really interesting is that, like Basim and I laugh all the time, man. I have another friend, Ernso from Haiti, he's my Haitian brother, and if you know anything about Haiti, man, and he and I laugh. We get together, we're on the phone, we're on whatever, we just laugh, and there's so much pain in the world, and there's so much laughter to be had. So, I don't know. It just comes out of the balance of life. Yeah. If I didn't do that, I would just curl up in a ball. Man, it's too. Yeah. Hey, by the way, you guys got to put your computers away because you can't study right now. If you haven't done the reading yet, you can't do it right now, man. You can't. You just can't. Dude. Computers.
Yes, you joking?
All right, next question, man. Bro. All right, go ahead, bro.
Have you ever come under fire by the school for something you've said during class?
Dude, what do you think, bro? Oh, my God. Yeah, I have. Okay, I'll leave it at that. But I don't see anything really... Look, here's the thing, right? I'm in a really strange position, okay? So right now I'm on this, I was on a list of the 101 most dangerous professors in America, right? A guy put a book out a number of years ago and I was in there, but the irony is that I'm right now on a watch list for this organization that identifies all of the radical leftist professors that are trying to brainwash our children, of which would be you all, right? Various news outlets on the left and on the right have done kind of hit pieces on me kind of stuff, right? But the irony is that when I do videos, all the things that I'm supposed to be, I'm really, really conservative for sociologists, right? And we have a big following of people who are really conservative, identify as conservative. They watch the class, they really enjoy the class. They feel like, I get emails all the time of people saying like, oh my God, you're so fair and balanced and so on, right? But then I get these hit pieces that come in from the different places, and it's really odd. I live in this odd world where I get kind of attacked from here, attacked from there, because people will watch just maybe like one thing or something, right? So yeah, I guess anyway. Not under fire. So the answer is not really under fire per se, but if people watch the class, they see that I'm really trying to be just incredibly fair and thoughtful. But a lot of times people don't want to do that, so they wait and they try to pick out one little thing that I say and they grab that and they run with it and make up a story. And that's really unfortunate. It doesn't bother me, but it bothers when people have to answer phones and respond to emails and stuff. It's kind of a God. All right, man. Next one. Dude.
Hi. So, how do you like pick topics for each class, and how do you prepare for the class based on that topic?
KJ could tell you, but I'm not going to let her. It just comes to me, right? Like maybe I'll be having a conversation with somebody and it just comes to me. Like, when we remember the one class I did, well, whatever. They just come to me, right? Like I'm reading something or I see something or I have a question that I can't answer myself. And I think, I wonder what students are thinking about this. Like, we did the climate change class, and I really just wanted to know what you all are currently thinking about climate change. So, like, that kind of stuff, right? So, they just come to me. Yeah. And is that a fair answer? Oh, what was the second part? How do I prepare? So I think about what the main question is, and then I think about what a bunch of kind of topics, sections would be to a question or an issue, right? And then I say, okay, if I were going to bring people up to answer that question, to examine this, who would I like to bring up? And then I think about, okay, what kinds of students would be really good, from what area of the world or what background, and then I come up with questions inside of that to ask them. And to get those questions, I usually go to my wife, because she's the professional. And I say, hey, listen, man, here's the subject. Here are the people who are going to be sitting in the front of the room. What questions do you have for them? And she just rattles off really cool questions. That's how I do that. Yeah. And luckily, the thing with me is I've spent 40 years very much being a generalist, right? So I travel all over. I've been to probably 50 countries and many countries like 8 or 10 times, kind of stuff, right? So I'm living, and when I'm with people, so I'm absorbing cultures. I have a really wide range of friendship networks, social class, rich, middle class, poor, from around the world. So like I'm always asking questions and just sucking up information. So just like Bangladesh, I could do a whole class on Bangladesh, like just like that. But it just, because I put the time into it, it means that we can touch on all these different topics. And I'm not an expert on anything, but I know just enough to ask questions, that I get from my wife. All right, man.
So I have a question regarding Central Asia. don't think you've ever touched on that, and I was just curious. Have you ever like met anybody from Central Asian countries, or do you know any like stuff about their culture?
Yeah. Well, actually, I had a trip to Kazakhstan that I was taking over the spring break, and it got all planned until the last moment, and then we pulled the plug on it. Tajikistan, Kazakhstan, Uzbekistan, all of the stands, right? The stand countries. And in Afghanistan, because we had a project in Afghanistan for 10 years, so I'm pretty well versed, and I have many friends. Yeah.
Do you think you're going to touch on that in any of your future classes?
Yeah, well, we have actually. We've done several classes on. We did one class on Uzbekistan and Tajikistan, and just because we had students in the room who were from there, and then we did these things. So it really, everything just changes and cycles around. And we've done a number of classes on Afghanistan, probably like 5 of them. Yeah.
Also, I just want to check something. I just want to check if there's anybody else here from Tajikistan, if that's fine.
Anybody else from one of the stands, but Tajikistan in particular? Anyone?
Right.
Oh.
All right.
It's cool.
It's so hard.
There's a Kazakh student in class, I think. Yeah, you're Kazakh, right? Yeah.
Yeah, I'm Kazakh. I also have the next question, so I have a mic. So.
All right. Dude, what are the chances? You know what I mean? Okay. Is that it?
Yeah.
All right. Thanks, man. Yeah. No, go ahead.
I think it might have supposed to have been him actually. Now I'm not sure because he's looking at me like.
You got it.
Okay. My question was just, you've said a few times that you've been teaching for like 40 plus years or something. I was just curious if there's a specific issue or topic that you've seen the biggest just shift in mindset or progress in. I remember specifically during the class that we were talking about queer rights and queer issues, you were speaking a lot about the progress you've seen just with students in this class specifically. So I was wondering what's the biggest shift you've seen, I guess.
Yeah, well, that's the biggest, right? That's like really the biggest that I've seen. I think also the other thing that really jumps out is that the very clear majority of students who are of African ancestry in this at Penn State are middle class and above, and very much above middle class, right? So we see that. That was not true when I first started at Penn State. And I remember, a couple of years ago, I was doing a class where I was just trying to find somebody in class of all the students of African ancestry who I was trying to find someone who was poor and of African or African American ancestry. This is what I mean, I finally found somebody. I'm like, it's just a new world of admissions in universities, and certainly at Penn State. Penn State's gotten so much more expensive, and it costs a lot of money to go here. Yeah, and it's just, you got to be of a certain. So that's something that's really jumped out for me. Stands. Yeah, and poor white students. We don't really could find poor white students. We don't find many poor students here at Penn State at all. Yeah, so I have a hard time when I want to. And so oftentimes I'll get somebody to volunteer. They're like, yeah, I'm in the lower class. And then they come and sit on the table, and it's like, they're not in the lower class. But that was not true when I first started teaching. 39 and a half years ago. Yeah, almost 40. Yeah. That's a good question. Somebody else?
Right here.
All right.
Okay. My buddy and I were interested after reading some of the articles about the U.S. sent X amount of money to this country. Who presses send on the money? And is it a wireless transaction, or do they do suitcases and airplanes? Or
Dude, yeah, it's just bank to bank, man. Yeah, that's a really interesting question. Yeah, it's bank. I actually had a former student who was deeply involved in that at the Treasury Department and stuff. And yeah, it's bank to bank. Yeah, that's a really cool question. Huh. Somebody else. Yeah, bro.
I was just wondering, obviously there's going to be some heated topics when students are up there, and since it's all recorded and posted online, there's bound to be hateful people. that are going to say things about the students. Do you ever, I don't know, maybe do you ever feel bad, or do you feel responsible if a student gets a ton of hate for something that they said? Because obviously most of the kids aren't like, well researched about whatever they're talking about. Do you ever feel like, oh shit, I'm putting them in a position where they're going to get a lot of hate?
Yeah, and we pull things down. If we notice something that's like getting, like maybe like when you were up here, right? Like maybe there's one thing that you said, and then we start noticing that people keep jamming on like the same comment over and over to you, and like the same thing. Like you said something, and we're like, hang on, that's not fair at all, right? And then we'll like go in and edit that comment out. We can edit whatever it is out, and we'll pull it out just because it's like, we don't need that. And sometimes it's just stupid stuff, right? Like G-Dog said something the other day, G right here, that was like completely innocuous, and like just some people were hammering him on it, but I'm not pulling that down because he's tough, he can handle it. But yeah, the other day, the entire section that we did, where when we were, do you remember? I don't want to say it because this is going to be online. But the one volunteer who was up here and said, I wouldn't want my parents to know. That was just like, cut that out. Like we're not doing any of that. So mostly you're going to get a hater here or a hater there. But if there's anything systematic, we pull it down. Yeah, we monitor very carefully. Yeah, bro.
Yeah, over the course of your lifetime, have you seen the advancement of technology be a more positive or negative thing for society as a whole?
Damn, dude. Both, actually. Yeah, both. And I mean that in the most profound ways. Absolutely both. Yeah, it's good. Like cell phones, man. They're amazing. They're great, and they're great. They expand communication tremendously. You all are way more communicative and connected than I ever was at your age. At the same time, you're less communicative and connected. So it's both things, you know. Yeah. Yeah, it's cool. Yeah, it's both. Yeah. Somebody. All right, next one.
Do negative comments affect you? And if not, did it used to? Or is there a comment that you still remember to this day?
The one that I remember the most was the best one that ever somebody wrote about me, and it was like just perfect. It was on Rate My Professor, and the person said, I got into class on the first day, and the music was jamming, and there were a lot of people in there, my friends were there, and it was like, man, I heard so much about this class, it was going to be awesome, and it was so awesome, and then the professor opened his mouth and said something. It was like, it's just downhill from there, right? Until the professor spoke. I mean, you gotta love that, right? I don't read comments. Yeah, you can't. When you're kind of a public in a way, you can't read comments. So I don't read Rate My none of that. I only got that because someone showed it to me. I just don't. Yeah, I don't watch videos. We have a team that watches video. They take care of all that. I don't. You can't. I'm just trying to. And I'm actually kind of shy, like I don't seem like, I'm not shy. I'm like one of those theater people. You put me on stage and turn the spotlights on, and then I'm not shy at all, but I'm really pretty shy. And I don't want to be in the spotlight. And the reason we live stream is because the reason we started live streaming and all was because it was part of the class, right? And then we just started and we kept going, and I don't pay attention to many aspects of it. Yeah, so. Wait, hang on. Wait, oh yeah, there you are, thanks man.
Oh, I actually just wanted to say that I didn't read the comments when I volunteered as well, because I didn't want to get affected by them.
Yeah.
When I actually got criticized by my siblings, not by the people from from YouTube.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was crazy.
Yeah, you probably listen. You probably won't on YouTube. Most people just don't pay attention. You know.
Yeah.
But your siblings, yeah.
Yeah, that was crazy.
Well, were they? Hang on. Were they right? It was what they said.
I mean, they just said that you were only yapping and stuff.
Yapping. Dude, what do they think about me? I'm always yapping. So. Oh, that's great. All right, that's cool. Yeah. All right.
Okay. Yeah, so Hispanics, like typically their households are generally pretty conservative.
Yeah.
So you know, me growing up, I always heard like either outwardly racist comments or very passive aggressive comments. And it was about the COVID years and the years leading up to there where I really changed out of that mindset, kind of developed my own, where I just started caring about people.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you hear comments like on the live stream and even in here like about you being like a very liberal hippie for no better terms, but was there a pivotal moment that you kind of really switched your mindset from whatever it was that brought you to like where you are now?
That's a really cool question. Wait. There's not a singular moment, I would say, but yeah, the irony, right? Like, yeah, it's really funny. People see, maybe because I have earrings or whatever it is, people who just tune in kind of quickly will say that. But the biggest following, the people who follow the class the most, are people who are in the most like really conservative type professions, right? Like police, military, these kinds of things, right? Who are like really interested because I'm being fair in the middle, right? I'm actually showing multiple sides of things. So that's the irony. The reason I started teaching this way, where I would bring students up, is because I would ask students after class, like, hey, what'd you think of class? And they were like, oh, it was great. Yeah, I really loved it. And then I'd ask them, well, what'd you like about it? And they'd be like, well, it was a cool conversation. And I know, but what part of the conversation? I'm like, oh, it was really cool. Okay. So one time I did this class that, dude, it was like the most, it was on fire. I was on fire. It was just one of these classes where I was doing more of a lecture, and it was just, man, I don't reach a peak very often, but in this moment I did, right? 10 minutes after class, I walked out the door and I saw some student, and the student said, hey, dude, that was an awesome class. And I said, yeah, what'd you like? And he said, I don't know, it's just awesome. He said, no, tell me specifically, what's one thing you remember from it? And the guy was like, I don't remember anything. And I said, that's it, I'm done. That was it. Yeah, so I just stopped at that moment. And I said, I'm never going to do that again. I'm just going to bring students up and have conversations. Yeah, so that's how that changed. All right. Yes.
So I know you went to Korea like multiple times, but what was like your favorite Korean food, or what was your favorite part?
Dude, my favorite Korean food is kimchi for sure, right? I am a global ambassador for kimchi. I'm a kimchi global ambassador, right? So, which is pretty awesome. By far my favorite food, yeah. And, yeah.
Also, what was your favorite part about your visit to Korea?
Well, I've been there many times. I think just people. I really appreciate Korean people. You know what I mean? I appreciate the energy, the that is East Asian energy. Just this way of the comportment of people, the way of being in the world, but in particular, in Korea in particular, yeah. Who's next?
Hi. What do you think about North African and Middle Eastern people being lumped in with white people on like formal government applications? Especially because when it's something negative, we're immediately not white and not part of them. So,
right.
What do you think about that?
Think about this: like the people who are like North African Muslims, right? The people who we would have so much like, what? Who are these people? Get put together with white people, right? And so it's like, I think that we just haven't found, this is the problem with race, right? It's the problem with race, it's the problem with culture, it's the problem with ancestry. We haven't found a way through that. And it's unfortunate. Yeah, it's a problem. It can be a problem, right? It's not always, but it is ironic. Yeah. It's very ironic. Yeah. All right, man.
So you had mentioned the one day that you felt that you don't actually feel like you're actually like teaching people. So I was just wondering what motivates you to keep teaching if you feel that way.
I don't know. Yeah. Dude, what is that? Wait, have we lost a mic? Yeah, all right. Well, that's awesome, man. The life just gets better. Yeah. Yeah, I don't know, actually. I don't know why I do what I do. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I don't know why. I wish I did. I think I just do it. Yeah. Yeah. That's such a cool question. I'll try to answer that. Isn't it weird that, doesn't that sound like really strange that I can't answer that question? You know what? Here's something. When I was 20 years old, and I was really kind of lost, just wasn't sure what I wanted to do. And I came alive. Like one day I just came alive, right? And I realized that I could think on my own terms and build a worldview and really understand the world. And it completely just put me on a trajectory to really being alive in a different kind of way. And I think maybe I have an idea that it's really good to help. If I can participate in that process for other people, it's a good thing. Yeah. All right, man. Do we have another one?
Yeah. So earlier you mentioned that you'd visit Bangladesh. I was just curious if there's anything like anything specific places you would visit in the future?
Yeah,
because I'm from there, so
yeah.
I'm just curious.
Yeah. Be there in particular? Or
yeah,
anywhere?
in Bangladesh.
What's that?
In Bangladesh.
Yeah, I think I'm curious about Dhaka. I'm curious about the Dhaka, and I'm curious about how people live with water, how you manage water in the way that you do in that city. Like, oh my God, I'm just fascinated by that. And the fact that the city's not going to exist in another 30 years because global climate change and the elevation of sea levels. So I got to get there soon, right? Yeah. Yeah. Okay, final question. Anyone have a personal question you want to ask? Yeah, go ahead, man.
Oh, I guess it's not personal, though.
All right.
But I was going off of her question. What are your thoughts on the model minority and, like, Asians now being white? on like a lot of government documents.
Yeah. Oh, I think it's the model minority thing is like really, we're just seeing such a shift in how we see people of Asian ancestry, and we're starting to recenter Asia because we're now in the century of Asia. So, yeah. So I would say that. All right, ma'am. Which is fascinating. Okay. Is that it? Are we good? All right. Hey, listen. Wait, before we start. Hey, can we just, for all the volunteers and everybody who came up and did what you were doing. Hey, by the way, there are a lot of seats down in the front. But on behalf of all the volunteers, can we just do a round of applause for everybody? Like, pretty cool.